Welcome to Revenue Systems Live. I am Keitha McAdams, the founder of Successful Solutions and your favorite business process automation consultant. We are about to redesign a business process for an independent travel advisor. And this is interesting because we're not simply going to automate the process of getting someone booked for a vacation. We are going to look at how the system can help create the next booking after that one. And I want you to think about this. A client has already told you where they like to travel, you know their budget, you know whether they travel with children, you may know their anniversary and their birthday, the kind of destinations they may enjoy, and even how far in advance they typically plan. And why should all of that valuable information disappear into a file after just one vacation? It shouldn't. So I am going to show you how I would build a vacation booking system that turns one inquiry into a managed client relationship and creates opportunities for repeat bookings automatically. Now, if you're watching live, subscribe so that you don't miss the next business we design. And I would love for you to introduce yourself in the chat. Let me know where you're from. If you're a travel agent or advisor, let me know that in the chat. And what type of travel do you specialize in? All right, guys, so let's redesign this process. I build revenue systems that sell while you sleep. And what does that actually mean? Okay, it means that I look at the work that a business is already doing to attract clients, convert them, deliver the service, follow up, and bring clients back. And I ask a different question. What should the owner be doing and what should the system be doing? There is a distinction between the two. Automation isn't about removing the professionals from professional services. AI makes the work more efficient for the professional. Today, we're going to talk about a travel advisor by the name of Danielle. Um, Now, her experience helps people to choose the right vacation, and she should still build relationships, with the system that we're going to create for her. She should still solve the usual travel problems that require her judgment, but Danielle should not have to remember that someone's anniversary is approaching and manually dig through her records to see whether they may want another trip. So that is where the system could help. Now, a good automation doesn't replace the professional. It removes the work that keeps the professional from being professional. Now, if your expertise is helping someone make a good decision, your day should not disappear into reminders, data entry, or those just checking in emails. The question isn't, can AI do my job? The question is, which parts of my process never require my expertise in the first place? Now, I want you to think about your own business as we are walking through this. Where are you currently using your expertise and where are you simply acting as a reminder system? Here's what we're going to do today. First, you'll meet Danielle. Then we're going to walk through her current manual booking grind, as I call it, and we're going to find the bottleneck. And then after that, I'm going to rebuild the booking process. Now we're going to look at what happens when a trip planning form becomes 5 different business outputs. And then we're going to connect that to the business impact. And then finally, I want to take the idea a step further. I call it save more, make more. At first, I'm going to show you how to save more time, save more money or resources. But then I'm going to show you how to make more revenue. Because once Danielle has the client's travel information, we can build a retention system around it so that she isn't starting from zero every time she wants another booking. And that's where today's automatic repeat bookings idea really comes together. Now, I want you to meet Danielle. She is an independent travel advisor, and Danielle doesn't have an inquiry problem. She's getting inquiries. She's already getting steady inquiries. Her problem is what happens after those inquiries arrive. That's when the work starts. A traveler reaches out. Danielle begins gathering information like, where do you want to go? When do you want to travel? What is your budget? Who's traveling with you? What type of experience do you want? And then Danielle researches the trip, prepares the proposal, and she sends it. And now another process starts, which is the follow up game. Did you have a chance to look at the proposal? Do you have any questions? Are you ready to book? And then once they finally do book, Danielle has another set of dates that she needs to remember so that she can send the right preparation information before departure. And mind you, I understand there could be task reminders that Danielle may already have in whatever CRM she's using, but we are taking this a step further to the point where she doesn't have to be reminded to do these things, that some of these things will be done in the background automatically. So watch this. These tasks aren't necessarily difficult, okay? They just have to be done. The problem is the accumulation of all of those tasks. You've got one traveler who's manageable, 10 travelers at different stages in the process require a whole lot more mental tracking. So 20 travelers at different stages can basically make Danielle feel like she's just chasing all day, every day. And I never want a business owner to be the operating system. We want the system to be the system. Now, the manual grind. Step one in her grind. First, someone sends Danielle an inquiry, as you can see here. And that's good. Okay, we have demand. She has demand. Then we hit our bottleneck because we've got to gather the trip details. And then Danielle has to manually collect the destination, dates, budget, preferences, traveler information, and all those little tiny details that she needs in order to start planning. And then some of that may come by email, some of it may come by a phone conversation, maybe even a text message like 2 days later. And now Danielle has information living in all these different places. Then step three, she builds the proposal, of course, from scratch or, using Adobe. Some of this work genuinely does require her expertise in the proposal, but building the proposal itself, the layout and those things, we can automate. So this is where we need to be careful with automation, okay? We don't want to automate absolutely everything just because we can. We want the system to prepare Danielle to do the valuable work faster. And then for her step four, that's where she starts chasing for a decision. This is where a time problem can be a revenue problem because Danielle has already done the work. She's already prepared the recommendation, but if follow-up depends on her remembering who needs a message today, some of those opportunities will inevitably sit way too long. And then her step five, that's when the trip reminders come in. Now she needs to remember who leaves in 60 days, in 30 days, in 14 days, or 7 days. And again, Danielle is becoming the calendar at this point. The biggest automation opportunities are often hiding inside the work that feels too small to fix. One reminder takes 2 minutes. One follow-up email may take 3 minutes. And then entering one client's information, it doesn't seem difficult, okay? But multiply those little tiny tasks across every lead, every client, every booking, every week. And suddenly the business owner is spending hours maintaining a process instead of serving clients or generating revenue. The bottleneck I would solve first in this situation, I would say I would solve the bottleneck first because the gathering of those trip details can be could be a lot. But the revenue leak, I would pay very close attention to is the follow-up. So the follow-up would come after that. But we're going to address both of them. Now, which part of this process would you want to hand off? Okay. Gathering all the details, chasing people for decisions, or the third one, remembering and sending all of those reminders, the trip reminders. Put a 1, a 2, or a 3 in the chat and let me know. Or in the comments if you're watching the replay. And if you're not a travel advisor, just translate that question into your own business. Like what's your version of this? You could be a consultant who repeatedly gathers project details, or an accountant who chases documents, or maybe even a photographer who's sending session reminders. The industry could vary, but the system's problem often is pretty much the same. Now let's see what happens once we redesign this process. I can't wait to get to the part where I show you guys how we can build a revenue stream inside of this for Danielle. All right, so this is the improved automation. I call this the vacation booking system. All right. Now, in step 1, there's one structured trip planning form. So instead of Danielle interviewing every new inquiry just to collect basic information, the traveler completes a form designed around the information that Danielle actually needs. Now, that can look one of two ways. If Danielle wants to be face-to-face or person to person when she collects this information, she could do that via phone call or video call or in person. Okay, she could collect that information, but the point is all of that information is being collected in one place, which is that form. The destination, the dates, the budget, the travelers, the preferences, special occasions, whatever information affects the planning process. And here's why I start there. Automation is only as good as the information entering the system. I say this so much in what I do on a day-to-day to my clients. The data in your system is only as good as what you put into it, like what you get out of it. When that form is submitted, the CRM is going to automatically create or update the traveler and create a trip opportunity. When I say a trip opportunity, that's basically a potential deal in the system. So there's no duplicate typing. Danielle won't have to take information from the form and then manually rebuild that same, client record somewhere else. And then we get to step 3. Then AI summarizes the trip needs. This is one of the places I really like AI for professionals, because Danielle doesn't need AI to decide what vacation someone should take. She needs AI to help her quickly understand what the traveler has already told her. So instead of opening this long submission and rereading every answer, Danielle could receive something like this. Family of 4, flexible in June, $6,000 budget, prefers all-inclusive Caribbean resort, 2 children ages 8 and 7. Priority is easy. Airport transfer, and then maybe even kid-friendly activities. So now Danielle can immediately start thinking like a travel professional. And then for step 4, once Danielle prepares and sends the proposal, an intelligent follow-up sequence starts. Not just a follow-up sequence, an intelligent follow-up sequence. Maybe the first follow-up answers a common concern. Another may remind the traveler about availability. Another may simply make it easy to ask Danielle a question. But the important thing is that Danielle doesn't have to remember to initiate each of these, or none of these really. And then I want you to notice on step 5, the moment the traveler books, the follow-up stops. That is important because good automation should respond to behavior. Once that person has booked, they should no longer receive. You don't want someone receiving, "Are you ready to book?" like 2 days after they've already paid their deposit. That's not automation. That's an automated bad client experience, and we don't want that. Automation should show, automation should know when to stop. Sending messages automatically is easy, but building a system that understands when the client status has changed is where the real process design starts. That's where it happens. If someone books, the sales follow up should stop immediately and the client experience workflow should begin. That's the difference between automating tasks and designing a revenue system. All right, and then for step 6, once the trip is marked booked, the system calculates the departure date, and now countdown communications can be scheduled automatically. So instead of Danielle thinking, "Who leaves next month?" the system already knows. That is the redesign. We took Danielle out of the role of information collector, data entry clerk, follow-up calendar, and reminder calendar, everything that she was doing before. And we kept her exactly where her judgment creates value. That is business process automation. Now, look at what one completed trip planning form gives us. There's one input, which is the form, but 5 outputs. First, it creates a trip record. The client and the trip opportunity are created automatically in the CRM. Second, Danielle gets the important details in the format that she can absorb quickly. And then third, the follow-up sequence. So when the proposal goes out, follow-up no longer depends on Danielle remembering anything. Then output 4 is the countdown schedule. When the booking happens, the system can determine when each pre-trip communication should go out based on the departure date. Now, I want you to notice number 5. That's the post-trip campaign. It isn't just a "hope you had a nice vacation" email that the traveler will get afterwards. This is where we begin building the next revenue opportunity. The system can request a review. It can ask for a referral. It can capture feedback. And when it can keep, then it can keep that traveler connected to Danielle based on what we know about them. The most valuable information in a form isn't always for the transaction that's happening today. A travel advisor may collect a destination and a budget to plan one vacation, but that same client record can tell the system what to recommend 6 months from now. Good systems don't keep asking loyal clients to start over. They remember enough to make the next interaction way easier. And that is one of the principles that I want you to take away today. One piece of information should be allowed to do more than just one job. If the client already gave you the information, don't make your team keep retyping it, rediscovering it, or asking for it again. And then that takes us into this business impact. Okay. We talk about the technology, but I don't build systems because workflows look pretty. I build them because the business should operate differently afterward. Danielle gets time back. She's spending way less time manually gathering basic information and less time remembering who needs follow-ups. So no spreadsheets. And then faster bookings because the follow-ups happen consistently and automatically. And this matters because a great proposal sitting in someone's inbox does not create revenue. The system makes sure that a warm opportunity isn't forgotten because Danielle got busy serving someone else. And then you have stronger retention. The client receives better communication before and after the trip. And that experience is intentional. And then there's revenue, more opportunities to receive follow up, more clients can be invited to return, more clients can be asked for referrals. And then Danielle has more capacity to serve people without proportionately increasing her administrative workload. There is a principle in scripture about being faithful with what has been already given or entrusted to you. I think there's a practical business lesson in that. Sometimes growth isn't about getting more leads, it's about becoming a better steward of the opportunities and the client relationships that you already have. And that's exactly where I'm taking Danielle's system next. Okay. This is the outcome that really matters. The service provider is now freed up. No disconnected. She's not disconnected from the client, but she's freed up to do what only she can do, which is her profession. Danielle should be having the conversation that helps a nervous traveler choose the right resort. She should be solving the complicated itinerary problems. She should be building supplier relationships, making clients feel like they're well taken care of. She should not be spending her Thursday afternoons copying information from one system into another and checking a spreadsheet to see who needs their third follow up. Capacity doesn't always mean hiring another person. Sometimes capacity comes from removing work that never needed a person in the first place. So before adding another employee to a busy service business, I would want to know how much of today's workload is judgment, relationships, and expertise, and how much is copying, reminding, routing, scheduling, and checking. That's the kind of question that changes how you design a business. And this is a good point to do the same exercise with your own business. I've been showing you Danielle's bottlenecks, but where are yours? Take the AI business growth assessment, go to success.successfulsolutions.com. It takes about 3 minutes, and you'll receive personalized results that help identify where automation can save your business the most time and increase revenue. And there's no obligation. So here's how I would use those results. Don't look at every manual process and immediately ask, how do I automate all of this? Just start with the process that's either consuming the most capacity or that is allowing the most revenue to leak out. And then redesign just one process well. Because the goal isn't more automation, the goal is a better business. And that can happen slowly. It doesn't have to happen all at once. Okay, so we're getting to the fun part. We're going to create more revenue for Danielle. I'll call this a travel club. Okay, let's just say that Danielle creates a travel club inside of her system, or we build it inside of her system. This is where today's hook comes together. Remember what we already know about Danielle's traveler. We know where they like to go. We know their budget, their travel preferences. Potentially, we know their birthdays, anniversaries, school calendar constraints, maybe even their PTO time or how much PTO they get, their dream vacations, and the types of trips that they're most interested in. So here's the question. Why would Danielle wait for that client to randomly remember in the future, 2 years from now, and give her a call? Let's build a system that helps create the next opportunity for her. I call this the Passport Concierge Club. All right. It's a personal travel concierge. Oops, sorry about that. It is a personal club where it costs $24 a month. And this is hypothetical, guys. This is just an example where it can create recurring revenue for Danielle. But I don't want the subscription fee to distract us from the bigger system design idea that I'm trying to present right now. The real value is the ongoing relationship that she has with her clients. So instead of the client's information going dormant when the vacation ends, the system can continue serving them with quarterly getaway ideas, maybe that are within a 100-mile radius of their home, special occasion recommendations, a day trip planner, vacation goal tracking, destination ideas that match to their profile, and also a way to just ask, find me a trip. And then that is personalized for them. They could do member group trips. The point is convenience because plus personalization. So you're combining convenience with personalization. And then Danielle isn't sending the same "it's time to travel" newsletter to everybody. Every person has a personalized experience. So the system knows something about each individual traveler and it uses that information to better serve them. Now let's look at how this looks behind the scenes. This is my favorite part. I always say that. Lots of parts are my favorite part. Because you now can see what automatic repeat bookings really means. It doesn't mean that a robot just randomly books someone's vacation. It means that the system automatically creates the right opportunity for Danielle and the traveler to have the next buying conversation. Let's start with the traveler creates a profile. So this is a system, guys. Okay, this is within Danielle's system, but the member creates a travel profile with their dream destinations, budget, travel style, special occasions, PTO preferences, excuse me, maybe even whether they prefer cruises or resorts, guided travel or quick weekend getaways. Now the system can use timing plus context. The system can also present relevant additions or upsells like insurance or excursions, upgrades, and other appropriate recommendations at the point where they actually are useful. And then let's say, suppose their anniversary is coming up. 120 days before that anniversary, the system can say, based on your travel profile, here are a few anniversary trips that you might love. So Danielle isn't trying to remember the anniversary. The system is going to remember the anniversary. Even for birthdays, maybe 90 days before a milestone birthday, there's another recommendation. Or holidays. In August, the system can prompt the clients who typically travel during the holidays to begin planning before the availability starts to get a little tight. So notice what we're doing. We're not chasing somebody and asking, would you like to book another trip? No, we're not doing that. We are creating a useful reason for the conversation. And then the AI that's behind this can help prepare personalized possibilities based on information that the traveler has already provided. Like this find me a trip. AI is using their existing travel profile plus the new request to help Danielle prepare appropriate possibilities for the traveler. And of course, we could build in a referral system into this life cycle so that Danielle can easily get referrals from travelers. Repeat business shouldn't depend on a client remembering you at exactly the right moment, or the moment that they're getting ready to buy again. If you already know when a need is likely to return, your system can create a relevant reason to connect. So that's not sending more marketing. That's using timing, context, and client history to make the next purchase easier and obvious. So this is how I would redesign. Let me, hold on a second. Let me show you this a little bit more closely. So let's just say this is the Passport Concierge Club. So whenever the traveler logs in, they get this welcome here. Find me a trip is always up front and center. Maybe this will say recommended for your upcoming anniversary or your upcoming birthday or a trip that would be perfect for your 10-year-old's birthday this year. And then it could give you some recommendations here and make it very easy to just click, of course, to see more details, but to actually book with Danielle or call Danielle, set up a call with her to discuss. They could have a travel profile, as you can see here. Maybe there's like a budget that's on here. Maybe you can have a vacation goal with an estimated budget, how much you've saved, and you're tracking that here. Or the traveler tracks that here. Your upcoming trips that you've already booked with the countdown, or you can view the itinerary, and then all of these extra little member perks. And of course, a handy little menu over to the side. And the CRM is going to remember the relationships, and then AI is going to help Danielle understand and personalize the relationships. Automation keeps the process moving, and the retention system creates opportunities for the relationship to continue. And that is so much bigger than automating an email. That is a revenue system. Now, I would love to hear from you. Tell me, what professional service should I build in Revenue Systems Live next? Just put it in the comments. I'm also checking to see if anyone has questions. If you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Maybe next we could do an interior designer or wedding planner, insurance professional, business consultant. I look at these suggestions when I'm planning for future episodes, so please do let me know what it is you would love to see. Or maybe even the type of process that you would like to see me automate. And then if this has helped you think differently about your own business, please subscribe so that you can join me next Wednesday when we redesign another business. I want to thank you for spending this time with me. Until next Wednesday, keep building revenue systems that sell while you